Most screen-free coding kits fall apart in 6 months, teach zero transferable skills, and end up as expensive drawer clutter. I'm Clothing Miller, and I've stress-tested dozens of these systems in my own workshop to figure out which ones actually survive real use and build genuine computational thinking. Today, I'm walking you through the exact checklist I use to audit durability, pedagogy, and environmental impact before I recommend anything to families or educators. You're listening to the STEM Lab podcast. Quick note before we jump in. The research, testing, and script you're hearing are all human verified and written by me. That the voice delivering it is AI generated, so we can get these episodes to you consistently. I really appreciate everyone who's been listening from the start. You know who you are, and this show exists because of you. If you're brand new here, I'm glad you found us. We drop new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, covering the real-world tools, kits, and methods that hold up in STEM education. Today, we're breaking down the exact criteria I use to evaluate screen-free coding kits before recommending them to anyone. Let's get into it. When you're evaluating screen-free coding kits, you're not just shopping, you're auditing hardware for skill progression. You need to know if the components will survive 1,000 logic loops, whether the instruction set scaffolds genuine computational thinking, and if the kit will power on reliably in month 12. This checklist covers the structural integrity, pedagogical architecture, and environmental accountability of unplugged coding systems, so you can invest in tools that build careers, not landfill waste. I've tested dozens of these kits in my own workshop, run them through curriculum cycles with multiple age groups, and deliberately stress-tested components to see where they fail. The questions below reflect what actually matters when you're building a progressive learning path from tactile sequencing to text-based languages. Let's start with physical durability and component longevity. First, check for material composition and expected lifespan. You'll find kits made from injection-molded ABS, soft silicone, cardboard, and FSC-certified wood. Each ages differently under repeated use. ABS tokens can handle drops and spills for years, while laminated cardboard tiles start delaminating after a few months of humid storage. Look for manufacturer durability ratings or independent reviews that measure cycle counts. How many times can you snap a connector, flip a tile, or press a button before failure? Next, verify connector and joint integrity for modular systems. Magnetic snaps, peg and hole alignments, and stacking pins all degrade over time. The best kits use neodymium magnets rated for 10,000 plus connection cycles or reinforced plastic pegs that won't shear under kid-level force. If you're considering tile-based sequencing, check whether edges are chamfered to prevent chipping and if the locking mechanism is replaceable. You also need to assess cleaning and sanitization compatibility. Screen-free kits pass through many hands, and you need components that tolerate alcohol wipes or mild soap without dissolving graphics or warping plastic. Avoid kits with paperback tiles or stickers that peel when damp. Silicone and powder-coated wood handle sanitization far better than untreated MDF or foam. Test for small part hazards and age-appropriate sizing. Kits for ages 3 to 5 should meet ASTM F963 toy safety standards with no choke hazard components under 1.25 inches. For older learners, smaller tokens are fine, but check whether lost pieces render the entire kit unusable. Replaceable parts are essential for a multi-year investment. Take a hard look at packaging and storage solutions for long-term organization. Open box foam inserts that hold each piece in place extend kit lifespan dramatically. If components arrive loose in a flimsy bag, you'll lose tokens within weeks. Look for compartmentalized trays, snap lid bins, or laser-cut foam that makes setup and teardown frictionless. Evaluate repairability and component replacement policies. The most sustainable kits offer a la carte replacement pieces, open-source design files for 3D printed parts, or modular designs where damaged sections swap out. Proprietary, non-repairable systems are ecological dead ends. And check for third-party expansion compatibility. Can you integrate this kit with Lego, Arduino boards, or other open standard platforms later? Transitioning from screen-free coding to Arduino programming becomes seamless when your early kits use industry-standard dimensions or protocols. Now let's talk about pedagogical structure and skill scaffolding. Identify the computational thinking primitives explicitly taught. Evaluating screen-free coding kits means verifying that they address sequencing, loops, conditionals, debugging, and functions, not just following directions. Look for instructional materials that name these concepts and show how each physical action maps to a programming construct. Kits that teach "put the robot here" without explaining why offer play, not skill transfer. Assess challenge progression and mastery milestones. The best kits include 20 to 50 challenges that increase in complexity with clear checkpoints. By challenge 10, learners will sequence 3-step loops without prompts. If the kit offers only 5 example activities, you'll exhaust its pedagogical value in a weekend. Verify whether the instruction set is turning complete or limited. Some screen-free systems teach sequencing and loops, but omit conditionals or variables, which limits their transferability to real programming. That's fine for ages 3 to 6, but by age 7, you want kits that introduce if-then logic and parameter-based functions. Understand where the ceiling is before you buy. Check for open-ended problem-solving opportunities beyond scripted challenges. Can learners design their own mazes, invent custom game rules, or combine multiple kits to build novel systems? Kits that force you down a linear tutorial path don't foster the creative debugging mindset that defines actual engineering work. Evaluate integration with text-based coding environments. Does the manufacturer offer a bridge curriculum to Scratch or Python? Some kits include QR-linked lessons that show how the physical logic translates into code syntax, accelerating the transition when kids are ready. Look for multi-learner or classroom-compatible licensing. Single-user kits cost less upfront, but limit collaborative problem-solving. Check whether the system scales to small group work or includes team challenges that mirror real software development workflows. Moving on to lab specs, power, connectivity, and environmental impact. Determine power requirements and battery accessibility. Robotic screen-free kits often use AA or AAA batteries, USB-C rechargeable cells, or no power at all. Replaceable alkaline batteries are the worst option. They leak, corrode, and create recurring waste. Prioritize kits with rechargeable lithium-ion cells and accessible charging ports. Note the runtime per charge and whether the system includes low battery indicators to prevent mid-session shutdowns. Verify offline versus cloud-dependent functionality. True screen-free kits operate entirely offline, but some hybrid systems require app pairing for setup or content unlocks. If you're off-grid or building a home STEM lab without reliable Wi-Fi, confirm that all core features work without internet access. Assess noise levels for shared learning spaces. Kits with audio feedback, beeps, music, voice prompts can be engaging or distracting, depending on decibel output and whether volume is adjustable. Test videos or reviews that include sound samples, especially if you're setting up in a multi-child household or classroom. Check for eco-conscious materials and end-of-life recyclability. I test every kit through a sustainability lens. Look for FSC-certified wood, post-consumer recycled plastics, and manufacturers that offer take-back programs or repair services. Avoid kits with glued-together electronics that can't be disassembled for recycling. This mirrors the ethos I bring to my renewable energy projects. Technology should enhance the planet, not burden it. Evaluate electromagnetic interference and sensor reliability. Screen-free robots that use infrared or ultrasonic sensors can be disrupted by sunlight, reflective surfaces, or adjacent electronics. Confirm whether the kit includes calibration instructions and whether sensors are field replaceable if they fail. Determine weight and portability for mobile learning setups. Some kits weigh under a pound and fit in a backpack. Others require a dedicated workspace and two-handed carrying. If you're rotating kits between rooms or taking them to co-op classes, portability matters. Let's get into curriculum alignment and real-world transferability. Map the kit to K-12 computer science standards. Many screen-free coding systems align explicitly with CSTA K-12 standards or NGSS engineering design practices. Check whether the manufacturer provides standards correlation documents, lesson plans, or assessment rubrics, especially if you're homeschooling or supplementing classroom instruction. Identify which industry standard tools the kit prepares learners for. The goal isn't just learning to code, it's building a foundation for Python, C++, or block-based environments like Arduino IDE. Kits that teach nested loops and conditional logic at age 7 position kids to grasp for loops and if-else statements in text-based languages by age 10. Understand the skill bridge. Assess whether the kit addresses debugging and iterative design. Real programming is 80% debugging. Look for kits that require learners to test, fail, analyze errors, and revise. This is computational thinking, not rote memorization. Systems that autocorrect or hide mistakes teach learned helplessness, not resilience. Assess whether the kit addresses debugging and iterative design. Real programming is 80% debugging. Look for kits that require learners to test, fail, analyze errors, and revise. This is computational thinking, not rote memorization. Systems that autocorrect or hide mistakes teach learned helplessness, not resilience. Check for documentation and community support. Active user forums, YouTube tutorial libraries, and manufacturer-hosted webinars extend a kit's pedagogical value far beyond the printed manual. Kits with robust communities also offer user-generated challenges, expansion ideas, and troubleshooting help. Evaluate cost per skill milestone achieved. Divide the kit price by the number of discrete competencies it teaches. A $120 kit that builds 10 measurable skills over 2 years is a better investment than a $40 kit that offers 3 activities and no progression. Choosing screen-free coding kits by age means understanding this ROI. Verify subscription or consumable dependencies. Some kits require annual content subscriptions, replacement challenge cards, or proprietary app access. Factor these recurring costs into your total investment and avoid systems that lock core functionality behind paywalls. Here's your final check before you commit. Use this condensed checklist when you're evaluating screen-free coding kits in-store or online. Material durability, ABS plastic or FSC wood, not cardboard or foam. Connector cycle rating, 10,000 plus snaps or connections without failure. Cleanable surfaces, alcohol wipe compatible, no paper stickers. Storage system, compartmentalized tray or foam insert included. Replacement parts available? Yes, ideally with user repair guides. Power source, rechargeable lithium-ion preferred, or no battery needed. Offline functionality, 100% feature access without apps or Wi-Fi. Skill progression, 20-plus challenges, clear mastery milestones documented. Computational concepts covered, sequencing, loops, conditionals, debugging, functions. Standards alignment, CSTA or NGSS correlation guide provided. Real-world transferability, explicit bridge to Scratch, Python, or Arduino. Eco-accountability, recyclable materials, take-back program, or modular repair design. Noise level, adjustable or silent operation. Multi-learner support, scales to 2 to 4 simultaneous users. No hidden subscriptions, all core content included with purchase. Print this list. Tape it to your desk. You'll notice patterns immediately. Kits that pass 12 or more checks are worth your money and your learner's time. Now let's tackle some frequently asked questions. What age should a child start using screen-free coding kits? Children can begin using screen-free coding kits as early as age 3 with single-step sequencing toys that teach cause and effect logic, like directional arrow tiles that move a physical robot one space at a time. By age 5, learners can handle multi-step sequences and simple loops, and by age 7, they're ready for conditional logic and debugging challenges that mirror real programming structures. The key is matching the kit's instruction set to your child's ability to plan multiple steps ahead and revise failed attempts. Developmental readiness matters more than chronological age when building a progressive STEM learning path. Do screen-free coding kits actually prepare kids for real programming languages? Yes, when the kit explicitly teaches computational thinking primitives like sequencing, iteration, conditionals, and debugging, and when instruction materials draw clear parallels between physical tokens and code syntax. A child who masters nested loops with wooden tiles will recognize for loops in Python faster than a peer who never encountered the concept because the logic structure is identical, only the representation changes. However, kits that teach rote pattern following without naming the underlying concepts offer limited transferability, so verify that the curriculum includes terminology and concept mapping before you invest. How long should a screen-free coding kit last before a child outgrows it? A well-designed screen-free coding kit should provide 12 to 24 months of progressive challenge for a single age band, with the ability to expand through add-on modules or integration with more advanced systems like Arduino or robotics platforms. If your child exhausts all included challenges in under 6 months, the kit lacked sufficient scaffolding or open-ended problem-solving opportunities. Look for systems that support user-created challenges, multi-kit combinations, or curriculum extensions that stretch the learning ceiling without requiring a completely new purchase. Here's what this all comes down to. Evaluating screen-free coding kits through this checklist means you're refusing to settle for toys disguised as tools. You're auditing for durability that survives real use, pedagogy that builds actual computational thinking, and materials that respect the planet your learners will inherit. Every kit you choose either opens doors to industry-standard programming or it doesn't. Every component either teaches debugging resilience or it auto-corrects failure into invisibility. You'll know you found the right system when your daughter can explain why her loop failed before you even ask, when your son starts sketching his own challenge maps on scrap paper, when the kit components still snap cleanly together after a year of daily use. That's what this checklist measures. Not promises, but performance. Not marketing, but milestones. Build your lab accordingly. Thanks for listening to this episode of the STEM Lab podcast. New episodes go live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so you won't have to wait long for the next one. If this checklist gave you clarity on what to look for, I'd be really grateful if you'd leave a 5-star rating and a quick review. It genuinely makes a difference in helping other parents, educators, and makers find the show. And hit subscribe or follow so you're notified the second a new episode drops. I'll talk to you soon.